If you're a returning player of Fallout 76, you probably noticed that a lot has changed. Enemies have been nerfed, armor's been buffed, guns and perk cards are different. Everything is different. And that's where this video comes in. I'm going to help you learn how to make new builds in the game, and how damage is just different. We're not going to go over everything in the game, but I will go over the major perk cards you're going to need, how to determine what cards you need, and what guns and armor you should probably use. Let's start easy with how do we determine what cards you need for your build. Sometimes it's obvious. If you're going to have a heavy gun build, you should probably have heavy gun cards, right? Well, yes. And no. No, not whatsoever. You see, a lot of things have changed, and back then, this would be the case, because there were cards that just flat out increased heavy gun damage. But nowadays, they're all gone. There's no card in the game that just upgrades your damage for having a certain type of gun. Everything kind of relies into these few categories now. For example, some rely on having a giant ammo capacity. Others rely on having multiple projectiles. It really depends on what guns you're going to be using for your build. For example, if you're doing a heavy gun build, you should probably have Bullet Storm in your build. Bullet Storm gains stacks whenever you use 30 bullets in your gun's magazine. Most heavy guns have over 500 bullets. So everyone, when you make your build, think of what you're going to be using first. If you're using smaller guns, you probably can ignore this. But if you're using heavy guns, you're probably going to want to have Bullet Storm. Anyways, let's go to the next segment, which is how do I increase the damage by cards alone? Now, as an example, I'm going to use my recent build video and show you what I use there to increase my gun's damage. Now, if we look here, there's a few interesting cards to see here. For one, I have Demolition Expert. Since my build revolves around explosive guns, this card flat out increases damage by 60% for them. On top of that, I have Gunslayer Master. Basic rundown of this, I have a whole video talking about Onslaught, I'll link in the description. But it basically gives you reverse Onslaught, and it makes it so you slowly gain stacks of it over time, and you can spend them on enemies to hurt them more. And you need other Onslaught cards and a weapon mod to make this really effective, but at the end of the day, this is increasing my damage, so it is good to note right now. Now, Gunslayer Master is only good for semi-automatic weapons, and thankfully, a lot of explosive guns are only semi-automatic, so it fits right into my build. On top of that, Gorilla Master also increases damage per Onslaught stack by 5% to close targets. Now, I can't go into every card that will increase damage because I think that's a lot of cards, but I will go over the ones that you should have in just 90% of your builds. Number Cruncher gives you 2% extra damage per AP cost that your gun has. If you ever want to find out the exact percentage your gun has, just times your AP cost by 2. Concentrated Fire makes it so that whenever you deal damage in VATS, you gain 3% accuracy and damage. It has a secret perk cap of 20 stacks, and there's no way to see it anywhere to my knowledge. Granted, I'm pretty dumb, so there could be like some obvious counter that I just can't see. Overall, there's a lot of perk cards that just change everything about your build. I haven't even gone over the Gruul stuff, but I haven't been a Gruul yet, so I can't say anything about it. Now that we've gone over your perk cards, let's go over what guns and legendaries you should use. Because trust me, there's a good amount of them. Now for guns, thankfully you have to wait too much, because it doesn't matter what you pick as long as you pick a gun that really fits your playstyle. So go ahead and just pick what you feel like will fit your build. If you want a lot of ammo, pick a heavy gun. If you want a lot of damage, pick an explosive. It's really just up to your build. What's going to affect your build the most is legendaries. Let's go over the self-explanatory ones. 2-shot and Crod. 2-shot, you wouldn't believe it. It shoots 2 bullets at once. It also increases your damage a little bit, but that doesn't really do much. It's more about the fact that you're shooting 2 shots at one time. 2 shots good for if you just have a projectile build, or you're just kind of looking for something to have as your side gun. I never use a 2-shot gun, unless it's like a missile launcher, and even then, those have been nerfed into the ground. So, Quad is what it says it does. It gives you 4 times your ammo capacity. Quad is great for heavy guns, and I could personally recommend it on a lot of them. Personally, I like to have it on miniguns, and even the Gatling Plasma. But that's just because it has a lot of ammo, and you can really stack up Bullet Storm with it. Now let's go over the ones that are kinda different, but in all reality are really easy to understand. Bloodied and Furious. Furious is directly tied to Onslaught. Again, I have a video going over this, but you'll basically want to use this if you have any Onslaught card, and your main gun has none of the prior legendaries I talked about. Bloodied increases damage the lower your health gets, up to about 130%. While not commonly used, this can deal nearly as much damage as Furious, and all it takes is just being really low health, but it's a lot more consistent. And finally, Armor. Really the only hard part about armor is what legendary you want on it. Since I ended the guns off with Bloodied, let's start with Bloody builds. Unyielding is arguably the best one for Bloodied. It gives you a +3 stat increase at low health to everything but endurance. Very good all around. There's not really much to say about it, because at the end of the day, it's just stat boost, and it's nice. Mutants is good for normal builds in general, whether that's Bullet Storm, Furious, anything you have that's just a high health build. However, if you don't have mutations, Overeaters is a really good replacement, giving you a max health boost instead of a damage reduction. And that's about it. Overall, if you just really read the cards and you just think about what you really need in your build, you should be good, but I hope this video did help you a little bit. If you like guides or tips or builds or anything like that, you should subscribe because I do guides basically every time I upload. And yeah, with that out of the way, I hope you have a good day.